Hello guys, how are you? So I'm Rebecca and I'm a food blog. I'm a food blog. Food blog. It's a thing. That's a thing, man. I am a food blog. Seriously? Okay, I'm a food blogger and a cookbook author, and it is summer in Vancouver where I live. And one of my favorite things to do in the summer is to go to the farmer's market and explore all the really beautiful and fresh ingredients that are there. And my favorite time of the year is this time of the year. In like June, late June, usually is when they're happening. They're a little bit later this year, which is when the garlic scapes happen at the farmer's markets. Look at those, aren't they cool? So what happens is in the fall or in the winter, the farmers plant garlic. So they take the bulbs of garlic, plant them in the ground, they leave them, they live in the ground over the winter, over the cold in the winter, and then in the spring, they spring up these little green shoots come out of the ground. And they make these like little curly green tops. And what they do is they harvest them before, this is the flower part of the garlic, and they harvest them before the flower blooms. And when they're in this stage, they are so cool, they're amazing, and there's so many things that you can do with them. One of my favorite things to do with these is to make pesto. Now, what I love about making pesto out of garlic scapes is that you don't get such a strong garlic flavor. It's kind of more of a mild garlicky flavor. They're sort of like, almost like a cross between a chive or a green onion or a ramp, but they're a lot thicker and heavier, and they have a lot more of a fibrous stem to them, basically. So this is a garlic scape. If you've never heard of them before, they're super cool. Go to your farmer's market and get some. I am going to show you how to make, I am going to show you how to make a garlic scape pesto using these guys. And really simply, all you need is a blender and some ingredients, and that's it. There's a few basic things that you need to make a pesto. The first thing you need is you need a bunch of greens. And what I have is some basil, some really beautiful, oh, it smells so good. Some beautiful aromatic basil that I got from the farmer's market. I also have some kale. I've washed this, cut it up into small pieces and washed it. Then you need some kind of nuts or something to help to kind of bind it together and give it some body. I'm actually using toasted sunflower seeds for this. You could use almost any kind of nuts that you have around. I've used cashews, I've used walnuts. Traditionally people use pine nuts, but they're really expensive. So, and I don't have any, so I'm just using these, and I think they'll be fine. And then I have my garlic scapes, which I have just taken the top off of, taken the bottom off of, cut off the little flower bit, and washed them, and then cut them into little chunks, just like that, and they're ready to go. The last thing you need for pesto is really good olive oil. You're not going to cook this, so it's really important that you use really good quality olive oil. This is a really beautiful Greek olive oil from basil, and this is really good stuff. I like it a lot. Okay, so now let's go. Let's make some pesto. Really simply, this is my blender. Welcome to my blender. All I'm going to do is I'm going to start throwing stuff in there. So we've got our sunflower seeds are going in. My garlic scapes are going in. I'm actually going to start blending this right now. The rest of it is easier to blend. The garlic scapes are kind of fibrous, and they're going to take a little bit of time to break them down. So I'm actually going to start blending this a little bit now, and then I'm going to add the other greens afterwards. And go. Wow! Okay, so those are just starting to break down a little bit. Oh, I'm going to do a little tiny bit more. Smells so good. All right, so they're really starting to break down now. I'm going to add my basil leaves in there. And I know it looks like I'm making a ton, but when this stuff starts to get blended up, it really shrinks down to not very much. big handful of kale in there. Like, I'm just gonna pack as much of it as I can into the blender because it's all gonna get mushed down in there anyway. You don't really have to measure, you can just kind of throw stuff in there according to what you like. All right, now. All right, I forgot a spatula. That was my bad. So I'm just gonna kind of shake this up a little bit to get it going in there. Now, the next thing I'm gonna add into here is some salt and pepper. I just got some nice, coarse salt in here. You want quite a bit of salt. Of course, you can always add more afterwards. And a nice, fresh grating of pepper. The other thing you can add to pesto to also make it good is lemon juice. If you like some lemon juice, you could also add some lemon juice in there as well. It's really great to give it that like little hit of acidity. Make it nice and bright and fresh. Okay, now that I have everything happening in there, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn the blender on, I'm gonna leave it on low, and I'm gonna slowly start to add in the olive oil. This is gonna bind it all together and make it into kind of like a sauce. Again, you don't really have to measure this. I'll probably use about half a cup of olive oil. But really, it's just to your taste and to see how you like it. All right, let's check this out. So what we have going on in here, look at the color of that. It's so beautiful and vibrant and green, and it smells so good. It smells fresh and herbaceous, and then it's got that nutty note in there from the sesame seeds as well. So what I would do with this now is I would scoop this into ice cube trays and freeze it in the freezer. Once it's frozen, you can pop it out and put it into Ziploc bags, and then you have them year round. You just pop out an ice cube full of pesto, and you can put it in pasta. It's really great on meats, I guess. I don't eat meat, but it's really great to serve on top of or with meats. I also use it in soups and stews to help to flavor the broth and to make it more, give it more unctuousness and more flavor. But honestly, primarily, I use this mostly in pasta. I use it in tomato sauce, and I just throw it on pasta, maybe with some additional olive oil, and if you want to put some cheese on there as well, really good stuff. So that's how to make garlic scape pesto. It's really, really simple. You don't even really need a recipe. It's just kind of throwing a bunch of stuff into a blender and blending it up until it's done. And at the end, you have this really amazing sauce that is good for so many things. If you make pesto, and maybe you make it with garlic scapes, or maybe you don't. If you don't make it with garlic scapes, I encourage you to try this method. I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Hit me up and tell me what your favorite way to enjoy your pesto is. How do you cook with it after you've made your pesto? I would love to hear. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, guys.